Get out. Sit on the curb where you belong.
Did that cashier really just tell the founder of Stonebridge Coffee to get out of his own store? The words hit the air like a slap. Sir, either order something or move along. Ashley Miller stood behind the register with one hand on the counter and the other wrapped around her phone. Her smile was gone before Marcus Bennett even reached the front of the line. He was 54 years old, black, broad-shouldered, and quiet. His jacket was faded at the elbows. His baseball cap sat low over his eyes. His shoes had seen better sidewalks. To Ashley, that was enough evidence. Marcus looked up at the menu board. "A cortado, please," he said, "and a slice of banana bread." Caitlin Brooks, standing near the espresso machine, let out a short laugh. "A cortado?" she said, turning her head just enough for the people nearby to hear. "You sure you know what that is?" Ashley leaned closer, her voice sweet in a way that cut deeper than anger. "We have regular coffee, too. Might be easier." Behind Marcus, 6 customers waited. A man in a navy suit checked his watch. A young woman looked down at her shoes. An older couple stared at the pastry case, like the glass had suddenly become fascinating. No one said a word. Marcus kept his face still. He had learned a long time ago that silence could be armor, not weakness. Armor. "I know what I ordered," he said. Ashley's lips tightened. She tapped the screen hard enough for her fingernail to click against it. "Name, Marcus." She paused. Then she wrote something else on the cup. Not his name, just 2 letters. Caitlin saw it and smirked. Marcus saw it too. He did not ask what it meant. He already knew what people wrote when they thought a man like him would not matter long enough to complain. He paid in cash. Ashley took the bills with 2 fingers, as if money could carry a stain. She dropped his change on the counter instead of placing it in his hand. 3 coins scattered. 1 rolled toward the edge. Marcus caught it before it fell. That small movement made Caitlin laugh again. It was not loud. It did not need to be. The store was bright and polished. White subway tile. Warm wood tables. Soft jazz over hidden speakers. A chalkboard sign near the door read, "Everyone has a place here." Marcus looked at those words for half a second. Then he carried his lukewarm drink and banana bread to a corner table. He sat down slowly. The chair creaked beneath him. The first bite of banana bread stopped him cold. It was excellent. Moist, rich, balanced. Better than anything he had approved for the menu in years. Then Ashley spoke again. Not to him. About him. "People like that always do this," she muttered. "Buy 1 cheap thing, sit forever. Never tip." Caitlin wiped the steam wand with lazy circles. "We need to protect the vibe," she said. "This place is starting to look like a bus station." Marcus lowered the bread to the napkin, his jaw locked. A middle-aged black man walked in wearing paint-stained work pants. Ashley did not greet him. A young white couple entered behind him. Ashley lit up. "Hey guys, welcome in. Same room, same counter, different world." Marcus watched it happen, and something inside him went still. This was not bad service. This was a gate. This was a wall. And walls like this had followed him since childhood. His mother had once taken him to a downtown cafe when he was 9. They had money. They had manners. They had every right to sit by the window. But the waitress placed them beside the kitchen door, near the swinging heat and the trash cans. That day, Marcus promised himself something. If he ever built a place of his own, nobody would be pushed to the back. 23 years later, he had built it. 1 steel coffee cart became 1 store. 1 store became 40. Stonebridge Coffee now stretched across 3 states. And the man being mocked in the corner was not homeless. He was not lost. He was not beneath anyone in that room. He was Marcus Bennett, founder, owner, chief executive officer. And he had just discovered that the first store he ever opened was rotting from the inside. Marcus did not move for almost a full minute. He sat there with the paper cup between his hands, feeling the weak warmth bleed into his palms. Around him, the store kept moving. Milk steamed. Cups clicked. The front doorbell chimed again and again. But to Marcus, every sound had sharpened. Ashley laughed too loudly at the register. Caitlin dragged her towel across the counter without really cleaning it. A man in a delivery uniform stood near the pickup shelf, waiting for someone to notice him. Nobody did. Marcus watched Ashley hand a latte to a woman in a cream coat. "Have a beautiful day, hon," she said. Then the delivery driver stepped forward. "Excuse me, I think that one might be mine." Ashley's face changed like a light going out. "It's not ready," she said. He pointed gently at the cup. "That's my name right there, Daniel." Caitlin looked over and rolled her eyes. "Then take it." No smile, no apology, no eye contact. Daniel picked up the cup. His shoulders stayed level, but Marcus saw the small flinch in his face. The kind a man tries to hide because he has had too much practice hiding it. Marcus knew that flinch. He had seen it on his mother. He had seen it in mirrors. He pulled out his phone under the table and opened the customer dashboard. The numbers loaded slowly. The flagship store sat at the bottom of the list. Dead last out of 40 locations. Not low, last. His thumb moved to the review folder Rachel had sent him the day before. 31 complaints in 6 months. He had read them in his office, on the 14th floor, with skyline glass behind him and a framed photograph of his first coffee cart on the wall. The first review came back to him now. "They looked at me like I was trespassing in my own city." Another. "I left my coffee on the table because I did not want to drink anything handed to me with that much hate." Another. "Your motto says everyone has a place here. Your staff made sure I knew I did not." Marcus closed his eyes. For 1 second, he was not a chief executive officer. He was 9 years old again, sitting beside his mother near a kitchen door while other families got window seats. His mother had kept her chin up that day. She had smiled at him. "Baby," she had whispered, "never let small people teach you your size." Marcus opened his eyes. Ashley was staring at him, not openly, not bravely, just enough to remind him she wanted him gone. He lifted the cup and took one more sip. Cold now, of course it was. A gray-haired woman entered next, moving slowly with a cane. She wore a blue church coat and carried a reusable bag folded under one arm. Her hands trembled a little as she reached for her wallet. Ashley looked past her. Next, the woman blinked. "That's me, dear." Ashley sighed. "What do you want?" The woman's face tightened. She looked at the menu like she had suddenly forgotten how to read. "A small coffee, please. With cream." Caitlin whispered something. Ashley laughed through her nose. The woman heard it. Marcus knew she heard it. Her fingers tightened around the wallet. She paid. She stepped aside. She made herself smaller. That was the part that burned. Not just the insult. The shrinking. The silent lesson forced onto decent people. Take less space. Ask for less warmth. Be grateful for less dignity. Marcus stood. The chair legs scraped the floor. Ashley looked up with a bored expression. "You done?" He carried his cup to the trash, but stopped beside the condiment station. Sugar packets were scattered across the counter. Cream had dried in a pale ring near the napkins. A company values card sat in a clear plastic stand. Respect every guest, serve with warmth, make space for everyone. Marcus stared at it. Then he looked at Ashley, then Caitlin, then the older woman waiting for her coffee with her eyes lowered. He wanted to speak. He wanted to say his name. He wanted to watch their faces change. But that would only prove one thing, that they could respect power. He needed to know if they could respect people. So he said nothing. He walked out into the Denver morning, past the glass door, past the painted motto, past the tables full of customers who had watched cruelty and called it none of their business. Outside, the cold air hit his face. He stood on the sidewalk and breathed once. Then he called Rachel. Her voices came through sharp and alert. "Marcus, clear my calendar for next week." A pause of it, all of it. "Is this about the flagship?" Marcus looked back through the window. Ashley was laughing again. Caitlin was checking her phone. The older woman was still waiting. His voice dropped. "Yes," he said, "and nobody in that building can know who I am." Rachel understood at once. "What are you going to do?" Marcus kept his eyes on the store he had built from nothing. "I'm going inside," he said. Not as the owner, as someone they think they can step on. Then he ended the call. By 6 the next morning, Marcus Bennett had already become someone else. He stood in front of his bathroom mirror, trimming his beard shorter with an old electric razor. Not clean, not polished. Uneven enough to make him look tired. Ordinary, easy to dismiss. On the marble counter beside the sink sat the watch he usually wore to board meetings. Thin gold case, black leather strap. A gift from the board after Stonebridge opened its 30th store. He did not touch it. Instead, he pulled on a gray polo from a thrift store bag, dark jeans, and a pair of scuffed work shoes Rachel had bought for him after midnight. The shoes pinched his toes. That was good. Comfort gave a man away. His phone buzzed. Rachel. The cover is active. Name is Martin Hayes. Transfer trainee from Colorado Springs. Payroll record created. Temporary badge ready at the back entrance. Marcus read the message twice. Then another one came in. Are you sure about this? He stared at the screen. Rachel had worked for him for 9 years. She knew when he was angry. She also knew this was not anger anymore. Anger burns fast. What Marcus felt was colder. He felt responsible. He typed back, I built the doors. I need to know who they are being closed on. At 7:15, he parked 2 blocks from the flagship store, not in the executive lot, not in the reserved space behind the building. He walked the alley on foot. Trash bins lined the brick wall. The pavement was wet from an early cleaning hose. Somewhere nearby, a delivery truck beeped as it backed up. The employee entrance was a narrow metal door with chipped paint. Marcus stopped in front of it. The front of the store had polished wood, warm lights, and a motto painted in clean white letters. The back looked forgotten. He pressed the buzzer. A camera above the door tilted slightly. Then the lock clicked. Inside, the hallway smelled like stale coffee, mop water, and microwave popcorn. A bulletin board hung crooked on the wall. Old schedules, safety notices, a faded flyer about company values. No one had taken down the flyer from 3 years ago. No one had noticed the corners curling. A man in a wrinkled button-down stepped out of the office with a clipboard in one hand and a half-eaten protein bar in the other. Brian Keller. 41, store manager, good numbers on paper, dead eyes in person. He looked Marcus up and down. You Martin? Yes, sir. Brian nodded without smiling. You're early, I was told 7:30. Yeah, well, early people make everyone else look bad. He said it like a joke. It was not a joke. Brian handed him a temporary badge without looking at his face. Listen, we're short, so don't expect a whole tour. You know espresso? A little. Brian snorted. Everybody says that. The office door behind him opened wider. Ashley Miller walked out, tying her apron. Her hair was neat, her makeup perfect, her expression already annoyed by the day. She saw Marcus and stopped. For half a second, her eyes narrowed. Recognition almost touched her face. Almost. Then it vanished. To her, he was just another low-wage trainee in a gray polo. Brian pointed with his clipboard. Ashley, this is Martin. Transfer from the spring store. Show him register basics. Ashley's mouth twisted. I'm on bar today. You're on whatever I say you're on. Her smile turned sharp. Fine. She moved past Marcus close enough for her shoulder to brush his arm. She did not say welcome. She did not say good morning. Caitlin was already at the espresso machine, tapping through her phone with one thumb. When she saw Marcus, she laughed softly. Another one? Ashley tied her apron behind her back. Apparently, Marcus said nothing. He watched everything. The way Brian avoided conflict. The way Ashley owned the room. The way Caitlin followed Ashley's mood like a shadow. Then he saw another employee step through the rear door carrying 2 boxes of oat milk against her chest. Lily Parker, 29, hair pulled into a loose bun, no makeup, tired eyes, steady hands. The boxes were too heavy, but she did not ask for help. She set them down near the cooler, wiped her palms on her apron, and looked at Marcus. Not his shoes, not his jacket, his face. Hi, she said, a little breathless. I'm Lily. You must be Martin. Glad you're here. It was the first kind sentence he had heard in that building. Ashley rolled her eyes. Careful, she said. She adopts strays. Lily's face tightened, but she kept her voice calm. We were all new once. Caitlin gave a little laugh. Brian pretended not to hear. Marcus heard it. He heard the insult. He heard the silence around it. And in that silence, he understood something worse than disrespect. This place had learned who could be hurt safely. The morning rush started at 8. The bell chimed. The line formed. And Marcus, standing behind the counter of the store he owned, prepared to watch his company tell the truth about itself. The first rush came like weather. 1 minute the store was quiet. Just the low hum of refrigerators and the hiss of the espresso machine warming up. The next, the front door kept swinging open. Shoes hit the tile. Voices stacked over each other. Steam screamed from the wand. The grinder roared so loudly it rattled the metal pitcher in Marcus's hand. Ashley stepped into rhythm like she owned the morning. "Good morning, love. Usual vanilla oat latte?" A young woman in a camel coat smiled. "You remembered?" "Of course I did." Ashley leaned over the counter with bright eyes and a perfect smile. She wrote the woman's name carefully on the cup, with a little heart beside it. Marcus watched from the side station, wiping lids, restocking sleeves, learning nothing and seeing everything. Caitlin made the drink fast, extra foam. Pretty poor. A smile when she handed it over. Then the next customer stepped forward. A black man in a city maintenance jacket, late 50s, heavy boots, reflective stripes across his chest. His hands were rough from cold and work. "Morning," he said. Ashley did not answer. She looked at the screen. "Order?" The man paused just long enough for the difference to land. "Small dark roast, no room." Ashley tapped twice. "Name Walter." She wrote W on the cup. Just W. Marcus felt his hand tighten around the stack of lids. Walter paid with a debit card. The machine asked for a tip. Ashley turned the screen toward him without looking up. Walter selected $1. Ashley did not say thank you. Caitlin set his coffee on the counter so hard the liquid jumped against the lid. "Dark roast," she called. Not Walter, not sir, not have a good day. Walter picked it up. His eyes moved once toward Marcus, not asking for help, not expecting it, just registering that someone had seen. Marcus had seen. Lily had too. She was at the pastry case, boxing muffins with quick, careful hands. Her mouth pressed flat. She looked at Walter. "Good to see you, Mr. Harris," she said gently. "Your shoulder doing better?" Walter turned to her. Something softened in his face. "Little better, Miss Lily. Doctor says I need to stop pretending I'm 30. Lily smiled. That doctor sounds smart. For the first time all morning, Walter smiled back. It lasted maybe 2 seconds. Then Ashley slid between them. "Lily, pastries, not social hour." Lily lowered her eyes. "Yes." Walter's smile disappeared. He left with his coffee held close to his chest. The bell chimed again. An elderly woman with silver hair entered slowly, gripping a cane in one hand and a folded coupon in the other. She wore a lavender cardigan and carried herself with that careful pride Marcus recognized in older Americans who had survived too much to complain loudly. She approached the counter. Ashley's shoulders dropped. The woman unfolded the coupon with trembling fingers. "I received this in the mail. I believe it says 1 free small coffee with purchase." Ashley took it, glanced at it, and sighed. "This expired yesterday." The woman blinked. "Oh, I'm sorry, I must have misread it. It's printed right there, I understand." "My eyes aren't what they used to be," Caitlin muttered clearly. Marcus looked up. Lily did too. The woman heard it. Her cheeks colored. She started folding the coupon again, smaller and smaller, as if she could fold her embarrassment into it. Marcus waited for Brian to step in. Brian stood near the office door, checking inventory on a tablet. He heard. His jaw moved, but he said nothing. That silence had a shape. It protected the wrong people. Lily stepped forward. "I can cover the coffee from my employee drink," she said. Ashley snapped her head toward her. "No, you can't. It's just a small coffee. It's policy." Lily held Ashley's stare. Her voice stayed soft, but something in it changed. "Policy doesn't require us to humiliate people." The air tightened. Caitlin stopped steaming milk. Brian finally looked up. Ashley's face went still. "What did you say?" Lily swallowed. Marcus saw the fear flash in her eyes. Not fear of Ashley alone. Fear of hours cut. Fear of rent. Fear of becoming the kind of employee nobody schedules until she quits. But she did not step back. "I said we can explain a coupon without making someone feel small." The older woman gripped her cane with both hands. "Please don't argue over me." That broke something in Marcus. Not visibly. Inside. He had built a company where an elderly customer apologized for being mistreated. Ashley leaned closer to Lily. "You keep forgetting your place." There it was. Not a mistake. A confession. Marcus turned slowly toward Brian. The manager looked away first. Then Marcus knew the problem was deeper than 2 cruel cashiers. It had a supervisor. It had permission. It had a system. And systems do not rot by accident. By noon, Marcus had stopped counting the insults. Not because they were rare, because they were constant. They came in small cuts. A missed greeting, a cold tone, a cup pushed instead of handed over, a smile given to one customer and withheld from the next. Nothing dramatic enough to make a headline. Everything sharp enough to make a person feel unwanted. That was how this kind of cruelty survived. It hid inside normal. Marcus stood near the handoff counter, pretending to organize mobile orders, while Ashley and Caitlin worked the front. Brian had disappeared into the office, where the blinds were half closed and his coffee sat cooling beside the keyboard. Lily moved faster than anyone. She restocked cups, pulled pastries, cleaned spills before they spread, helped a new barista named Noah find oat milk when Caitlin snapped, "It's right there," without pointing. Noah was 19, red-haired, nervous, and clearly on his third day at most. "Sorry," he whispered to Lily. "Don't be sorry," Lily said. "Just breathe. Everybody learns." Caitlin heard her and smiled without kindness. Some people learn slower than others. Noah's ears turned red. Lily looked at him, not Caitlin. "You're doing fine." Marcus watched that too. In a rotten room, Lily was not loud, she was not powerful. But she kept choosing dignity, one small moment at a time. That mattered. A little after 12:30, Ashley pulled open the drawer beneath the register to grab a new marker. Marcus was close enough to see inside. There was a folded index card taped to the bottom of the drawer. 2 columns, one had hearts, one had X marks. Under the hearts were names and shorthand notes. Tech guys, yoga moms, Pearl lady, blue Tesla. Under the X marks the words were uglier, loiter risk, no tip, bus stop, coupon grandma, paint guy. Marcus felt the blood leave his hands. Ashley saw his eyes drop. She kicked the drawer shut with her knee. "What are you looking at, Martin?" Marcus lifted his gaze slowly. "Nothing." Her eyes narrowed. "Then keep it that way." Lily turned from the pastry case. She had seen the card before, Marcus could tell. Her face had gone pale in a way that came from shame, not surprise. Caitlin leaned against the counter and laughed. "Relax, Ash. New guy probably can't read your system yet." Ashley smiled at Marcus. "Yeah. You'll learn." Marcus said nothing. Inside his pocket, his phone was recording. Not video, audio. Colorado law allowed one-party consent. Rachel had reminded him that morning. Marcus hated that he needed to know that. He hated that running a decent company now required behaving like an investigator inside his own walls. But he kept recording, because people who abuse power often deny the abuse until the evidence speaks louder than they do. At 1:15, the lunch rush thinned. Lily carried a tray of banana pecan bread from the back. The smell moved through the store, warm and sweet, cutting through burnt espresso and tension. A customer near the window looked up. "Is that fresh?" Lily smiled. "Just out of the oven. Give it 2 minutes so it holds together." Ashley grabbed the tray from her hands. "We'll handle it." Lily stiffened. "It needs to cool first." Ashley ignored her and placed slices in the case. Caitlin tapped the chalkboard sign with a marker. "Banana pecan bread. House favorite. No name. No credit." Marcus looked at the bread, then at Lily's hands. There was flour on her thumb. A small burn near her wrist. The kind of mark a person gets from making something real, while someone else takes the praise. A man in a blazer approached the counter. "I had this last week," he said. "Best thing you sell. Who came up with it?" Ashley smiled. "Bright. Polished." "Oh, our regional office develops all seasonal items." Lily lowered her eyes. Marcus saw her swallow. A small movement, a buried wound. The man nodded. "Well, tell them it's excellent." Ashley beamed like the compliment belonged to her. "We will." Marcus turned toward Lily. For the first time that day, her face cracked. Not much. Just enough. She looked tired in a way sleep could not fix. Tired of being useful but unseen. Tired of being kind in a place that punished kindness. Tired of watching her work become someone else's reputation. Marcus stepped closer and lowered his voice. "You made that, didn't you?" Lily froze. Her eyes flicked to Ashley, then to the office, then back to Marcus. "Don't," she whispered one word. Not denial, fear. Before Marcus could answer, the back door opened. A tall man in a navy overcoat stepped inside, carrying the clean smell of cold air and expensive cologne. David Lawson, Regional Manager 46. Confident smile, sharp haircut, Ashley lit up. Uncle David. Marcus went still. There it was. The missing piece walked in wearing polished shoes. David Lawson did not enter the store like a man coming to check on his team. He entered like a man collecting rent. The room shifted around him. Ashley straightened. Caitlin tucked her phone behind the espresso machine. Brian came out of the office so fast his chair rolled into the wall behind him. "David," Brian said, smoothing his shirt. "Didn't know you were stopping by today?" David gave him a quick look. Not warm, not hostile. Worse, evaluating. Clearly. Then his eyes moved to Marcus. They passed over him once, from gray polo to scuffed shoes to temporary badge. "Who's this?" Brian cleared his throat. "Martin Hayes, transfer trainee from Colorado Springs." David's mouth curled. "We're taking transfers now?" Marcus lowered his eyes just enough to look harmless. "Yes, sir." David did not answer him. He turned to Brian. "Keep him off bar during peak. I don't need slow hands costing us reviews." No one mentioned that the reviews were already terrible. No one mentioned why. Ashley moved beside David, smiling like a child near a favorite uncle. "You have to try the banana pecan bread," she said. "It's selling like crazy." David looked at the pastry case. "Of course it is." Lily stood near the sink with a towel in both hands. She had stopped moving. David noticed her. "Lily," he said, "did you get my email about the holiday latte prep?" Her shoulders tightened. "Yes. Good. I need the updated recipe notes by tonight. I already sent them last week." David's smile stayed in place, but his eyes cooled. "Then send them again." Lily breathed in, slow, controlled. "With my name on them this time?" The store seemed to lose sound. Caitlin looked down. Brian suddenly found something on his clipboard. Ashley's smile faded into warning. David turned fully toward Lily. "What was that?" Lily's fingers twisted the towel. Marcus saw her fight herself. He saw the calculation. Rent, bills, Job, pride, truth. "I said," she repeated, softer but clear, "the last 4 seasonal recipes were submitted under your department. I created them here. I have the original notes." David took one step closer. His voice dropped. "Careful." One word, a workplace word, a threat dressed in a suit. Lily's chin trembled, but she did not look away. "I just want the work credited correctly." David laughed once. Quiet. Ugly. "You want credit? For mixing syrup and milk?" Ashley looked at Caitlin and gave a small smile. Lily's eyes shone, but no tears fell. Marcus felt something hard settle in his chest. David moved closer to her, lowering his voice enough that customers could not hear, but staff could. "Let me explain something. Ideas belong to the company. You work for the company. I manage the company. That means I decide what matters and who gets noticed." Lily swallowed. "And if I file another complaint?" David's face changed. There it was, another. Marcus heard it. Brian heard it. Ashley heard it. David leaned in. "Then maybe the schedule gets tighter. Maybe hours get cut. Maybe we realize this location has too many people in back of house." Lily went still. Marcus looked at Brian. Brian said nothing. Again. A customer laughed near the front window, unaware that someone's livelihood was being squeezed 10 feet away. The espresso machine hissed. The refrigerator hummed. The whole store kept pretending this was normal. David turned away from Lily as if she had been handled. "Ashley, you're still good for the mid-shift lead next month?" Ashley brightened. "Absolutely." Lily's head lifted. "Mid-shift lead?" she asked. Ashley did not look at her. David adjusted his cuff. "Right. I applied for that." David smiled. "I have more experience. You do. I train half the staff. You do." Lily waited. David let the silence stretch. Then he said, "But leadership is about fit." Fit, there it was again. The clean word people used when the honest word would shame them. Marcus felt his pulse in his ears. Fit had kept people from front doors. Fit had kept people from promotions. Fit had made cruelty sound professional. Lily looked at the floor. This time, the fight left her face. Not because she agreed, because she was tired. David clapped his hands once. "Good. Glad we cleared that up." Marcus reached into his apron pocket and pressed stop on the recording. Then he texted Rachel one sentence. "I need every complaint Lily Parker ever filed, and I need it today." Across the room, David Lawson smiled at his niece. And Marcus Bennett, standing 3 feet away in a trainee badge, already knew the man's career had begun to end. Marcus did not wait until the end of the week. By 3 that afternoon, Rachel had sent the first file, then the second, then the third. Each email landed off his phone like another nail going into a coffin. Lily Parker complaint February. Lily Parker complaint April. Lily Parker complaint June. Marcus stood in the dry storage room with his back against a metal shelf. Bags of coffee beans were stacked beside him. The air smelled like cardboard, vanilla syrup, and dust. He opened the first complaint. Unfair scheduling. 4 months of opening shifts and closing shifts. Almost no mid-shifts. Almost no weekend peak hours. Lower tips, lower visibility, no written explanation. He opened the second tip. Irregularities. Cash tips removed from the shared jar before Lily's shift ended. Digital tips adjusted manually. No access to records. Brian marked the complaint as reviewed. No action. He opened the third. Recipe ownership. Seasonal drinks submitted by Lily under store testing logs. Later presented by David Lawson as regional menu development. No credit, no bonus, no response. Marcus scrolled to the bottom. All 3 complaints had the same note. Resolved at regional level. David Lawson. Marcus lowered the phone. For a moment, the room became too quiet. Not peaceful. Accusing. Outside the door, he heard Lily's voice. Noah, wipe the steam wand before it cakes on. Here like this. She was still teaching. Still helping. Still holding up a store that had been pushing her down for months. Marcus slipped the phone into his pocket and stepped out. The afternoon light had changed. It came through the front windows, low and pale, stretching long lines across the floor. The lunch crowd was gone. Only a few customers sat scattered at tables. Ashley was counting cash at the register. Caitlin was leaning against the counter, watching a video with one earbud in. Brian was in his office again. Lily was kneeling near the pastry case, cleaning underneath it with a blue cloth. A customer approached the counter. A woman in her 60s, black, neat gray curls, grocery store uniform still on. Her name tag read Patricia. She stood there patiently. Ashley did not look up. Patricia waited 10 seconds. 15. 20. Finally, she said, "Excuse me, sweetheart." Ashley closed the cash drawer slowly. "I'm in the middle of something." Patricia's face stayed calm. "I can wait. I just wanted to know if you still have the banana bread," Caitlin whispered. "Always the banana bread." Ashley laughed under her breath. Patricia heard it. Her eyes changed, not angry, wounded. Lily stood up quickly. "We do," she said. "Fresh batch, I'll get it for you." Ashley snapped, "I had it." Lily froze. Patricia looked between them, then took one small step back. "It's all right. I don't need anything." That sentence hit Marcus harder than a shout. I don't need anything. How many people had walked out of this store saying that? Not because they wanted nothing. Because asking had become too expensive. Lily moved toward her. "Please don't leave," she said softly. "You came in for something you wanted. You deserve to get it." Patricia looked at Lily for a long second. Then she nodded. Just once. Lily boxed the slice herself. She added a napkin. She placed it in Patricia's hands, not on the counter. "On me today," Lily said. Ashley's voice cut across the room. "You don't get to give away product." Lily turned. "No," she said, "but I do get to treat people like people." Caitlin pulled out her earbud. Brian's office door opened. The air went tight again. Ashley stepped closer, face flushed. "You have a real problem with authority." Lily's hands were shaking now. She tried to hide it by folding the edge of her apron. "I have a problem with cruelty, silence." Patricia clutched the white pastry bag to her chest. Noah stood by the sink, frozen. Marcus felt the moment sharpen. Brian walked out slowly. "Lily, office now." Ashley smiled, small, victorious. Lily's face drained. She took one step toward the office. Then Marcus moved, not fast, not loud. He simply stepped between Lily and Brian. Brian blinked. "Martin, move." Marcus looked at him. "Why?" Brian frowned. "Excuse me? What policy did she violate?" Ashley scoffed. "Oh my God." Brian's voice hardened. "This is none of your business." Marcus held his gaze. "Respect is everybody's business." The words landed clean. For the first time all day, Ashley had no comeback. Brian stared at Marcus like he had just discovered the floor talking back. "You're a trainee," he said. Marcus nodded once. "Yes." Then his voice dropped. "But I can still read a room." Caitlin laughed nervously. "Who does this guy think he is?" Marcus turned his head slowly. He looked at Ashley. At Caitlin, at Brian, at Lily, standing behind him with tears she refused to let fall. Then his phone buzzed again. Rachel. All files confirmed. Legal is ready. HR is ready. Your call. Marcus slipped the phone back into his pocket. Not yet. Almost. The reveal was coming. But before power entered the room, Marcus wanted everyone to show exactly who they were without it. The next morning, Marcus arrived before sunrise. The Denver streets were still dark, washed in blue winter light. A garbage truck growled at the corner. Steam rose from a manhole in slow white ribbons. Inside Stonebridge Coffee, the ovens clicked awake, and the first smell of roasted beans moved through the empty store. Lily was already there. Of course she was. She stood in the back kitchen, sleeves rolled up, measuring cinnamon into a stainless steel bowl. Her hair was pinned messily, and there was flour on her cheek. She looked exhausted, but her hands moved with purpose. Marcus paused in the doorway. "You're early," he said. Lily looked over her shoulder. "Opening shift. You closed last night." She gave a small smile with no joy in it. "That happens." Marcus stepped inside. "Does it happen to everyone?" Lily looked down at the bowl. No. The mixer hummed between them. Its sound filled the silence she did not know how to trust. Marco kept his voice low. "Why stay?" Lily laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because the answer hurt. Rent. Health insurance. My dad's prescriptions. She added the cinnamon and wiped her hands on a towel. And because some customers come in here already carrying enough. I don't want this place adding to it. That answer stayed with Marcus. A person could build a company around a sentence like that. Before he could speak, the back door opened hard. Ashley walked in, late, wearing sunglasses though the sun was barely up. Caitlin followed, sipping an iced drink from another coffee chain. Ashley glanced at Lily's bowl. "Still playing Bakery Hero?" Lily did not answer. Caitlin leaned closer to Marcus. "She thinks banana bread is a personality." Ashley laughed and tossed her bag on a chair. "Brian wants everyone in the store after close tonight. Mandatory meeting." Marcus looked up. "About what?" Ashley smirked. "Probably about attitude. Some people have been confused about their place." Lily's shoulders tightened. Marcus said nothing. By 9, the store was full. The morning crowd came in with wet coats, cold hands, and tired faces. Office workers, nurses leaving night shift, retired men reading the paper, parents with strollers, people who needed caffeine, warmth, and a small moment of being treated decently before the day took more from them. Some got that. Some did not. Ashley still chose. Caitlin still followed. Brian still watched and looked away. But now Marcus saw more. He saw Noah step in when an older man dropped his cane. He saw Lily quietly remake a drink Ashley had made wrong for Patricia, without blaming anyone. He saw Walter Harris leave $2 in the tip jar after Lily remembered his shoulder appointment. There was still good in the building. That almost made it worse. Rot does not destroy everything at once. It grows around what is still alive. At 11:45, David Lawson returned. This time he brought a tablet and the kind of smile people wear when they expect obedience. "Team," he called. "Quick update." Everyone turned. David tapped the tablet. "Corporate loved the holiday latte concept. We're rolling it out chain-wide next month." Lily went still. Marcus watched her face. David continued, "I'll be presenting the recipe package to senior leadership this afternoon." Lily's voice came out quiet. "That's my recipe," Ashley groaned. "Here we go." David did not look at Lily. "It's company property. I wrote it in my notebook. I tested it after hours. I submitted it under my name." David's smile sharpened, and I refined it. "You changed the garnish," Caitlin whispered, so dramatic. Lily turned to her. "You watched me make it." Caitlin looked away. Noah looked at the floor. Brian stared at the tablet in his hand. No one helped her. David stepped closer. "Lily, you need to understand something. Talent without professionalism is a liability." Lily's face flushed. "Professionalism is not stealing." The store froze. A customer at the pickup counter lowered his phone. Ashley's mouth fell open. David's voice dropped to a blade. "Clock out." Lily blinked. "What?" "Clock out. Go home. We'll discuss your future after I speak with HR." Brian finally moved, not to protect her, to open the office door. Lily stood there breathing fast. Her hands shook, but her eyes stayed clear. Marcus looked at David, then at Ashley. then at Brian. Enough. He reached into his apron and removed the temporary badge. He placed it on the counter. The plastic clicked once. Small sound, big room. David turned toward him. What do you think you're doing? Marcus lifted his head. His voice was calm, controlled, final. Calling the meeting early. David Lawson stared at Marcus like he had misheard him. For a second, nobody moved. The store was still open. A line of customers stood near the register. The espresso machine hissed behind Caitlin. Somewhere in the room, a spoon fell against tile with a clean metallic ring. David gave a short laugh. You're calling what? Marcus reached into his back pocket and pulled out his phone. The meeting, he said. Right now. Brian stepped forward, face tight. Martin, you need to leave the floor. Marcus did not look at him. Brian, lock the front door after the last customer is served. Offer everyone currently waiting their orders on the house. Then, join us. Brian blinked. Ashley laughed. Who does he think he is? Marcus turned to her. The laughter died before it reached anyone else. There was something different in his face now. The tired trainee was gone. The man standing there had weight. Not loud, not theatrical. Weight. David's jaw tightened. You do not give instructions in my region. Marcus tapped his phone once. A ringing sound filled the silence. Rachel answered on speaker. Yes, Marcus. The name landed like a dropped glass. Ashley's face changed first. Caitlin's mouth opened slightly. Brian looked from the phone to Marcus, then down at the temporary badge on the counter. David went still. Marcus kept his eyes on him. Rachel, connect HR and legal to the store camera feed. Conference line open. Record the meeting. Already done, Rachel said. Ashley whispered Marcus. Lily's hand went to her mouth. Patricia, still near the pickup counter, slowly sat down at the nearest table as if her knees needed help. Marcus ended the call and looked around the room. My name is Marcus Bennett. I founded Stonebridge Coffee 23 years ago. No one spoke. Not one breath seemed to move. I built the first coffee cart with my own hands. I opened this store with money I borrowed from my mother's retirement account. I wrote the words on that wall. He pointed toward the front. Everyone has a place here. His voice stayed calm, but the calm was worse than shouting. Yesterday I came into this store as a customer. Ashley told me to simplify my order. Caitlin laughed. My change was dropped on the counter. My name was not written on the cup. Ashley's face went pale. I watched Walter Harris treated like an inconvenience. I watched an elderly woman embarrassed over an expired coupon. I watched Patricia almost leave because asking for banana bread became too uncomfortable. Patricia lowered her eyes, but not in shame this time. Marcus turned to Brian, and I watched you hear all of it and do nothing. Brian swallowed. Mr. Bennett, I can explain. No. One word. Final. Brian closed his mouth. Marcus reached under the register and opened the drawer. He removed the folded index card with the hearts and X marks. Ashley took half a step back. Marcus held it up. This is not customer service. This is sorting human beings, Caitlin whispered. It was just shorthand. Marcus looked at her. For dignity? No answer. He placed the card on the counter. Then he turned to David. Rachel sent me 3 complaints from Lily Parker. Scheduling discrimination, tip irregularities, recipe theft, all marked resolved by you. David's face hardened. Those complaints lacked merit. Marcus nodded once. Then you will be glad legal has the original recipe logs, payroll adjustments, shift schedules, audio from yesterday, and your conversation threatening her hours. David's confidence cracked. Just a hair, but everyone saw it. Lily stood frozen, tears slipping now, silent and unstoppable. Marcus looked at her, and his voice softened. Lily, you should never have had to beg to be credited for your own work. You should never have had to choose between paying for your father's medicine and telling the truth. The room changed around that sentence. Noah wiped his eyes with the back of his wrist. Patricia nodded slowly. Walter Harris had returned sometime during the silence and stood by the door, coffee in hand, watching. Marcus faced the staff again. This company failed you when it let cruelty become culture. It failed customers when it confused sales with service. And it failed its own values when good people learned. Silence was safer than honesty. David tried one last time. Marcus, we should discuss this privately. Marcus turned to him. No, You made the harm public. The accountability can begin here. Ashley gripped the counter. Caitlin stared at the floor. Brian looked 10 years older. Marcus picked up the temporary badge and held it between two fingers. You thought Martin Hayes had no power. He let the badge fall back onto the counter. But that was never the test. He looked at each of them. The test was how you treated him when you believed he had none. Marcus did not fire anyone in anger. That mattered. Anger would have made it look personal. This was not personal. This was structural. This was policy. This was power finally turning around to face the people it had ignored. Rachel's voice came through the speaker again, steady and professional. Marcus, HR is on the line. Legal is present. Documentation is complete. Marcus looked at Ashley first. Your employment ends today. Ashley's lips parted. You can't be serious. I didn't know who you were. Marcus took one slow step closer. That is exactly why this decision is easy. Ashley's face crumpled, but the tears came too late. They were not for Walter, not for Patricia, not for the elderly woman with the coupon. They were for herself. Marcus turned to Caitlin. You also violated our standards, our conduct policy, and basic human decency. Your employment ends today. Caitlin stared at him, stunned. I was just following her lead. Marcus's voice stayed low. Cruelty does not become harmless because someone else started it. Then he faced Brian. The manager looked as if the floor had disappeared beneath him. Brian Keller, you will be removed from store leadership pending final review. You heard customers being degraded. You saw employees being threatened. You chose comfort over courage. Brian's eyes filled. I have a mortgage. So do the people you failed. The words landed hard. No shouting, no mercy, disguised as weakness. Then Marcus turned to David Lawson. David stood stiff, jaw locked, hands at his sides. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. You stole work from an employee under your authority. You concealed complaints. You threatened retaliation. You gave advantage to a family member. Effective immediately, you are terminated. David's face darkened. You will hear from my attorney. Marcus nodded once. Then your attorney will hear from ours. That was the end of it. Not dramatic. Not loud, just final. Ashley began to cry. Caitlin sat down hard in a chair. Brian covered his face with both hands. David walked out through the back door without looking at anyone. The bell above that door gave one weak sound, then silence. Lily stood near the pastry case, both hands pressed over her mouth. She looked scared to accept what had just happened, as if justice might disappear if she breathed too hard. Marcus turned to her. His voice changed, softer now. Lily Parker, this company owes you more than an apology. Rachel entered through the front door 10 minutes later, with 2 HR representatives and a folder in her arms. She placed it on the counter in front of Lily. Inside was a written acknowledgement of her recipes, a repayment calculation for missed tip shares, a temporary salary adjustment, and a new role, Regional Menu Innovation Lead. Lily stared at the paper. Her fingers trembled. I don't understand, she whispered. Marcus smiled, but there was sadness in it. You should have been seen a long time ago, Lily cried then. Not loudly. Not for show. She bent forward, one hand on the counter, and let the grief leave her body in quiet waves. Patricia walked over first. She put a hand on Lily's shoulder. Walter followed, then Noah. Nobody rushed her. Nobody told her to calm down. They let her be human. 3 months later, the Denver flagship looked almost the same from the outside. Same windows, same tables, same brick wall behind the bar. But inside, everything felt different. The tip system was digital and transparent. Complaints went to an independent ethics line. Secret Service audits ran across all 40 stores. Every seasonal item listed its creator by name. On the menu board, beneath the warm glow of morning light, one line read banana pecan bread, created by Lily Parker. Patricia now worked the front counter part-time. Walter still came in after his city shift. Noah had become one of the best baristas in the store. Lily trained teams across 3 states, teaching recipes, yes, but also teaching something deeper. A customer is not a category. A worker is not invisible. A person should never have to prove their worth before receiving respect. One afternoon, Marcus came back alone. No suit, no entourage, just a dark coat, quiet eyes, and an appetite for banana bread. Patricia saw him and smiled. Cortado, Mr. Bennett? Marcus looked at the motto on the wall. Everyone has a place here. This time it felt earned. Yes, Mom, he said, and a slice of Lily's bread. He sat at the same corner table where he had once been mocked. The coffee was hot. The bread was perfect. Around him, people were being greeted by name. Marcus took one slow breath. For the first time in a long time, the store sounded like what he had dreamed it would be. If this story reminded you that respect should never depend on status, please like this video, subscribe for more stories that honor truth and dignity, and comment these 3 words below. Never stay silent.